You stop aging for 1 hour. No wrinkles, no decay, pure cellular stasis. It sounds like a dream, but aging is not a disease. Aging is the sum of every chemical reaction keeping you alive. When those reactions stop, the dream becomes a serious problem. Biological stasis is an immediate disaster. The heart is a pump. Pumps require a cycle of contraction and relaxation. This cycle is a biological process. If aging stops, movement stops. The blood in your veins turns into a series of stagnant red columns. Oxygen stops flowing to the brain. Consciousness does not fade slowly. It vanishes instantly. You are now a human-shaped statue made of warm, unmoving meat waiting for a clock that will never tick. Cellular respiration is the engine of life. Mitochondria churn out ATP to power every muscle twitch and thought. This production line is part of the biological clock. Stopping the clock kills the power. The ion pumps in your cell membranes freeze mid-stroke. Potassium and sodium ions stop swapping places. Without this electrical gradient, neurons cannot fire. The brain becomes a silent, dark circuit board. No signals move. No thoughts occur. The body is not dead in the traditional sense because decay is also a biological process. You are simply paused, a biological photograph. You occupy space, but you no longer participate in the flow of time. You are a very expensive paperweight made of flesh and bone and absolute stillness. External physics do not stop just because your biology did. Gravity still works. Wind still blows. A stray breeze might knock you over. Since your muscles cannot react to stabilize your balance, you tip. You hit the floor with a heavy, wet, and loud thud. Heat is the next issue. The body is a thermal engine. It constantly radiates infrared energy, but the chemical reactions that generate this heat have ceased. Your core temperature begins to equalize with the room. This is not hypothermia. Hypothermia is a biological failure. This is simple thermodynamics. The air around you absorbs your warmth. Your skin cools to the touch. Insects might land on you. They do not find a living host. They find a curiously shaped rock that smells like a human. If you are outside in the sun, the lack of sweating becomes critical. Evaporative cooling is a biological process. Without it, the sun bakes your stationary skin. Your surface temperature rises while your internal organs remain frozen in time. You are effectively becoming a human sous vide. Now the only thing moving is the dust settling on your unblinking eyes while the world continues to spin around. The internal pressure is where things get violent. The circulatory system is a pressurized loop. Blood is a non-Newtonian fluid. In a state of absolute stasis, the blood does not just stop, it locks, the viscosity shifts. The blood vessels, which are usually elastic, are now rigid pipes. Tiny air bubbles in the bloodstream, normally managed by the lungs, stay put. These embolisms form perfect, frozen spheres of gas. Meanwhile, the lungs are full of air that cannot be exchanged. The diaphragm is a frozen sheet of muscle. Carbon dioxide builds up in the tissues, but it cannot diffuse. The chemical gradients are frozen, but the physical pressure of the surrounding atmosphere continues to press against your skin. Your body is now a pressurized vessel of stagnant chemicals. Any external impact, like a dog barking or a door slamming, sends a shockwave through your rigid frame. You are now a biological crystal, fragile and under immense internal tension. One hard bump could shatter your organs like a glass sculpture because nothing in your body can absorb the energy of the hit. Then the hour ends. The biological clock restarts with a violent jerk. Every frozen chemical reaction triggers at once. The pent-up pressure in the circulatory system releases in a single catastrophic pulse. The heart attempts to beat, but it is pushing against blood that has become a rigid plug. The resulting hydraulic shockwave ripples through the arteries. Capillaries in the eyes and brain burst simultaneously. The accumulated carbon dioxide in the tissues rushes toward the lungs in a frantic, acidic tide. This is the biological equivalent of turning a dam's floodgates open after a century of drought. The sudden surge of ATP floods the muscles, causing every fiber to contract at maximum force. Your body performs a sudden involuntary spasm so powerful it could snap a femur. The sudden reoxygenation of the brain creates a massive surge of free radicals. This is reperfusion injury on a systemic scale. Your cells are not just waking up, they are being electrocuted by their own metabolism. The skin, which was baked by the sun or chilled by the wind, rapidly adjusts. The thermal shock causes a series of microfractures in the cellular walls. You are essentially a biological spring that was compressed for an hour and just let go in a single violent second. You survive barely, but the experience was not a fountain of youth. You spent 60 minutes as a statue and woke up as a biological disaster. Your organs are bruised, your capillaries are shredded, your joints are locked. The medical bills for the subsequent emergency surgery are staggering. The insurance company, however, refuses to pay. They argue that since you technically did not age for an hour, you have cheated the actuarial tables. This constitutes a gross breach of your policy's temporal clauses, and the contract is now completely void. You are now 1 hour younger than everyone else on Earth. This advantage is entirely negligible. It does not make you faster or smarter. It just means you have to wait an extra 60 minutes before you can legally collect your Social Security check later. Stopping time is a bad idea. Try stopping something else, like the rotation of the Earth. Subscribe to the What If Club to see that happen. It is much, much louder.